1, 2. Check 3, 4.
Holzman's here.
It was starting to rain, like I had the day off or something, and I'm gonna start taking these limbs off of this oak tree, and the blade gets caught. And it's like, 25 feet up, and so I'm pulling on the blade, and of course the blade pops off and gets stuck. So I throw a rope up over that and pull the limb down, so now I've got the limb and the blade flying at my head. So I run for my life and cover myself up, and I'm like, I'm done, I'm going inside. The limbs can just stay there.
That's right.
Or I'll hire somebody to, I tried.
I had something like that happen. It's 100% my fault for not thinking or knowing how to do it, but I was sawing off a fairly hefty, big around limb off of an oak tree with a chainsaw, and it was an electric chainsaw, so it was flooded in, but I didn't put a notch on the bottom. So I came down from the top, and I'm not paying any attention. At some point, the limb starts to fall, but it's still attached, so it swings and knocks the ladder out from under me. Just completely swings under. I fall on my back, and the chainsaw, which unplugs itself on the way down because the cord gets caught, just bounces off my chest.
Wow.
Wow.
You are one lucky
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
I was very lucky. That was, that was my wake-up call.
Gosh.
And then I went on the internet and I'm like, oh, I'm not supposed to cut off a limb that way. You put a notch on the bottom first, so it doesn't do that swing under thing.
My daughter's babysitter was out raking leaves up on Tower Drive, and limb came down and hit her in the neck, and she's a quadriplegic after.
Oh, my
Oh,
gosh.
wow. Goodness.
So sad.
Yeah.
Oh, my. That is terrible. And I live off of that too. When did this happen?
Well, Leslie's 30, so it's been 20 years ago.
Oh, my goodness.
Bonjour.
Good morning, Commissioner.
How's everyone?
Well, how are you?
I am, you know what, tell you the truth, got a slight little headache coming. I think it's probably sinus getting ready to bug me again. So I took my sinus medicine this morning, my Flonase, my Teal. I'm gonna have to meditate it away,
We can, on these next week, we're live, that people can hear. Okay, 'cause it is almost 10:15.
Tokmeyer,
Good morning, Commissioner Kochmeyer, and I believe I heard Commissioner Holzman was on as well.
that's correct. Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning. Hopefully, your travels brought you safely home.
It did, a little late, but other than that, yes, it did. Thank you.
Good. All right, well, it is 10:15 and all the commissioners have assembled. So we will go ahead and call the March 29th agenda meeting to order. Just to remind everybody, if you're on the phone, to please mute your phones unless you need to speak so that everyone else can hear. But before we jump into the tariffs and new orders, which we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tariffs and new orders today. Before we do that, we got to approve the minutes from last week's meeting, March 22nd. Those have been distributed in advance. Is there any questions or concerns or comments about those minutes? All right, hearing none, then I would move that we approve those minutes from the March 22nd, 2023 agenda meeting. All those in favor of approving those minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Those minutes are approved 4-0. All right, first up is tariffs and new orders. Number 1 is going to be file number EO 2018-0211. This is in the matter of Union Electric Company, doing business as Ameren. Is their third filing to implement regulatory changes in furtherance of energy efficiency, also allowed by MEA. On March 9th, Ameren, Missouri staff and public counsel filed an amendment to a stipulation and agreement. The amendment states that the signatories agree that Ameren should be allowed to extend the maximum number of demand-side events from 10 to 15, and no party has objected to the proposed amendment. At the same time, Ameren, Missouri had filed a revised tariff sheet, which is designed to implement the requested changes effective April 8th, and no one has objected to that as well. So this order will approve the amended program year 2023 stipulation filed on March 9th, as well as the revised tariff sheet that comes effective on April 8th. And I would recommend that we approve this order, version number 1. Commissioner Coleman?
I support the order.
Commissioner Holzman?
I support the order.
And Commissioner Kolkmeyer?
And I do as well.
All right. All those in favor of approving that order, version number 1, please say aye.
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 And that is approved by a vote of 4-0. Next up, file number EX 2023-0254. This is in the matter of the amendment of the Commission's rule regarding safety standards for electrical corporations, telecommunication companies, and rural electric cooperatives. So the Commission has undertaken this rulemaking to modify the Commission's rules regarding electric safety standards. And this amendment changes the addition of the National Electric Safety Code that the Commission adopts for minimum safety standards applicable to electrical corporations, telecommunication companies, and the rural electric cooperatives. And it also clarifies that the new standards apply only to new installations and extensions. The Commission will seek to further comments from interested stakeholders during the rulemaking process. But this order directs the Secretary of the Commission to file the proposed amendments with the Secretary of State for publication in the Missouri Register. And I would recommend that we approve this order, version number 1. Commissioner Coleman?
I support the order.
And Commissioner Holton?
I support the order.
And Commissioner Kolkmeyer?
And I do as well.
Great. All those in favor of approving that order, version number 1, please say aye.
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 Commissioner Kolkmeyer, didn't hear you on that one. Are you still on the line?
I may have been quick on the pause, mute button. Yes, I am aye on that.
Wonderful. All right. So that order is approved by a vote of 4-0. Next up is file number EO 2022-0400 and 0193. So this is in the matter of the petition of Empire District Electric Company, a DBA Liberty, to obtain a financing order that authorizes the issuance of securitized utility tariff bonds for qualified extraordinary costs. And also in the matter of the petition of Empire District Electric Company, DBA Liberty, to obtain a financing order that authorizes the issuance of utility tariff bonds for energy transition costs related to the Asbury plant. So on March 20th, the Missouri Court of Appeals for the Western District granted the Commission's request for leave so we could correct our amended report and order as outlined in the Commission's request. So therefore, on page 122 of ordered paragraph 2 of the amended report and order is hereby corrected to read, quote, "The securitized balance as of any given date is equal to the balance of securitized utility tariff costs plus carrying costs of 4.65% for URI costs and Asbury costs through the date the securitized utility tariff bonds are issued," end quote. So that would correct our order, and I would recommend we approve this order, version number 1. Commissioner Coleman?
I support the order.
Commissioner Holzman?
I'm in support of the order.
And Commissioner Kolkmeyer?
I'm also in support.
Great. All those in favor of approving that order, version number 1, please say aye.
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 That is approved, 4-0. Next up, file number AX-2023-0175. This is in the matter of the proposed rulemaking to promulgate a new rule regarding a residential customer disconnection data reporting rule. The Commission has undertaken this rulemaking to adopt a rule regarding service disconnection reporting requirements for electric, gas, sewer, and water utilities. This proposed rule ensures that the available information about customer disconnections is accurate and consistent. The rule was developed with input from interested stakeholders through the Commission's file number AW-2020-0148, and the Commission will seek further comments from interested stakeholders during the rulemaking process. This order directs the Secretary of the Commission to file the proposed rule with the Secretary of State for publication in the Missouri Register as a proposed rulemaking. And I would recommend we approve this order, version number 1. Commissioner Coleman?
I support the order.
Commissioner Holzman?
I support the order.
And Commissioner Kolkmeyer?
And I do as well.
That is approved by a vote of 4-0. And next up is file number EA 2023-0017. This is in the matter of the application of Grain Belt Express for an amendment to its Certificate of Convenience and Necessity, authorizing it to construct, own, operate, control, manage, and maintain a high-voltage direct current transmission line and associated converter station. So back on February 15th, Grain Belt filed a motion requesting a discovery conference and requesting the Commission direct Missouri Landowners Alliance and the Show Me Concerned landowners to provide complete answers to 8 data requests proffered by Grain Belt on December 7th. Both the Missouri Landowners Alliance and Show Me objected to the data requests. So with regard to data request number 3 and 4, in which Grain Belt seeks a list of Missouri Landowner Alliance and Show Me members, the Commission finds that Grain Belt has not shown a compelling need for the personal information by clear and convincing evidence. In data request number 6, Grain Belt requested meeting minutes, recordings, and/or transcripts from Missouri Landowner Alliances and Show Me's records, which Grain Belt claims will tend to show the weight that should be given to MLA's and Show Me's arguments. The Commission finds that data request 6 is not reasonably calculated to lead to the discovery of admissible evidence, as the Commission has already established that MLA and Show Me are parties to this proceeding. In data request 14, Grain Belt requested the number of members of Missouri Landowners Alliance and Show Me that have contributed money in the previous 12, 24, and 36 months. The Commission finds that the number of financial contributors is not reasonably calculated to lead to the discovery of admissible evidence. So this order therefore denies Grain Belt's request to compel discovery answers in the motion for discovery conference filed on February 15th. And I would recommend we approve this order, version number 1. Commissioner Coleman?
I support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman?
I support the order.
And Commissioner Kolkmeyer?
And I do as well.
Great. All those in favor of supporting that order, version number 1, please say aye.
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 That is approved by a vote of 4-0. And our last file, a new order in tariff, is file number ER 2022-0337, in the matter of Union Electric Company, DBA Ameren, Missouri, tariffs to adjust its revenues for electric service. So on March 17th, staff filed a motion to strike the surrebuttal testimony of John Riley, a witness for public counsel. And on March 20th, Ameren, Missouri filed a motion to strike certain portions of the surrebuttal testimony of Claire Eubanks and Keith Majors, 2 witnesses for staff. The Commission may allow parties to present additional testimony live at evidentiary hearing when it is appropriate. And given the circumstances, the Commission will allow the parties to present additional testimony and cross-examine witnesses on the subjects of income tax lag for cash working capital and Rush Island prudence. So this order denies the motion to strike and allows the parties to provide additional live testimony and cross-examination during the evidentiary hearing on the subjects described within the respective motions to strike. And I recommend that we approve this order, version number 2. Commissioner Coleman?
I support the order.
Commissioner Holzman?
I support the order.
And Commissioner Kolkmeyer?
And I'm also in support.
Great. All those in support of that order, version number 2, please say aye.
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 Commissioner Kolkmeyer, you might have been a little quick on the mute button.
Yeah, no, I'm also an aye. Yes.
Great. All right, very good. That is approved by a vote of 4-0. And every one of those was version number 1, except for the last one, version number 2. But hey, that's awesome. That's great. All right. So next up is we have case discussion. Judge Clark, we got file number ER 2022-0337. Ameren, Missouri's tariffs to adjust its revenues for electric service.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, Commission. I have distributed, for your reference, a pre-hearing memorandum covering the roughly 30-some-odd topics and 50-some-odd issues for next week's rate case hearing for Ameren, Missouri. I updated that hearing memo to include Renew Missouri's positions, which were late filed yesterday. The memo sets out the issues by date and includes the parties' positions on each issue. I'm available for any questions.
Great. Any questions for the judge? I don't hear any.
And if I didn't say so, this will be running from the 3rd to the 14th, and we'll start each day at 8:30.
8:30. All right. Well, we will see you at 8:30 next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. All right, next up on case discussion is we have file number EA 2022-0238. This is in the matter of the application of Evergy Missouri West for permission and approval of a certificate of public convenience and necessity authorizing it to purchase, own, operate, maintain, and otherwise control and manage an existing wind generation facility in Oklahoma. And Judge Fridgen, how are you?
I'm good, how are you, sir?
I'm doing very, very well. So, Judge, you've given us a list of all the pertinent details that we need to address.
This is Judge DePel's memo. I'm pinch hitting for her today since she's out of the office. I'm not sure if I can answer any questions that you have, but I will do my best.
Well, we know that you would. So, I guess to kick this off, rather than go through the memo point by point, I think I'd just kind of like to just offer my thoughts of where I'm kind of thinking I'm leaning, and I think that'll probably cover almost everything. And if it doesn't, then circle back and after all the commissioners have had a chance, and we can dot the I's and cross the T's. So I guess at the beginning, the first thing I guess I had to wrestle with is, does the evidence establish that granting this CCN is it necessary and convenient for the public service? Overall, yeah, I believe that the evidence does show that granting the CCN to Evergy Missouri West to purchase Persimmon Creek, it is necessary and convenient for public service. I think Evergy did show that they had some near-term capacity need for the wind facility that will in least part help meet that need. Now, I understand that staff and other parties, they look at everything in a silo, and maybe it might not meet all the need or meet some of the seasonal needs that they have, but looking at things in a bigger, broader, I see how this can fit into the portfolio and achieve some of those needs with potentially future projects down the line. And I think Evergy did demonstrate that there are advantages to purchasing an existing wind farm versus building one from scratch. And they made the argument that this could be a hedge against market energy prices, which have been volatile. So that being said, staff and OPC raised some serious concerns about the economics of this particular facility, which in my mind called into question whether it was in the public interest to approve the application. Specifically, narrowing down to the numbers of hours this wind generation facility experiences negative prices relative to the modeling that they used in their IRP. And the wind generation facility's reduced capacity factor, after it's no longer eligible for production tax credits, which is just a few years away. I personally think that the company woefully overstated the amount that this wind farm generation will run after the production tax credits drop off, which then would overestimate the amount of revenues that the generation facility would bring in. So as it was presented, I don't think that I could support, that the project, as it was presented. The company wanted basically to put all of the risk onto the ratepayers, and then consequently, OPC and staff wanted to put all the risk onto the shareholders. But knowing that this would fit in nice with their overall production facility, and there are benefits to this, I want to try to find a way to make this happen. So what I'm going to propose in order to get myself there to where I can support this is I'm going to propose we condition the CCN's approval on a 50-50 cost-sharing provision. So specifically, Any costs that are associated with owning and operating Persimmon Creek that exceed the ratepayer realized market revenues and ratepayer realized tax benefits shall be shared 50-50 between shareholders and the ratepayers. And additionally, all production tax credits accrued on the company's books related to Persimmon Creek shall be tracked and credited to ratepayers in future rate proceedings. The company should track all revenues derived from the operation of Persimmon Creek, and the company should track all expenses related to the operation of Persimmon Creek. The company, in working with staff, they should develop reporting in appropriate formats that would allow the determination of the costs and benefits that are associated with Persimmon. And that reporting should include access to source documents, which include SPP invoices that allow staff on a quarterly or preferably a more frequent basis to validate the reporting. The initial cost and benefit report form should be filed, in this case, within 90 days of them closing on the Persimmon Creek sale, unless the company decides not to move forward with the purchase. I also believe we should put a sunset or a reevaluation provision tied to this. I think the company or any other party, they should be able to propose modifications or even the elimination of the tracking requirements and or the elimination of the 50-50 sharing mechanism set out in this order in any future rate proceeding that is filed after the expiration of the production tax credits related to Persimmon Creek, or at any time following an event that materially affects the revenues derived from or the cost associated with the operation of Persimmon Creek. So in my position, with these conditions I just mentioned, I believe that the CCN application would meet the 5 Tartan criterias, and then would also address most of the thing in the judge's memo, and I would be able to support that application with those modifications. So, Judge, I think that takes care of pretty much the entire order except for the order in service criteria. And I am not inclined to require that. From my looking at it and our research, I think 90% of this has pretty much been done when the wind farm first went into generation. I think it would just kind of be additional busy duplicative work for the company. And then the last one I think is should the commission order the company to provide resource-specific economic analysis beyond the IRP results into the future. I don't really think that's appropriate for the commission to order the company to perform certain economic analysis in the future for future CCN application. But that being said, the difficulty of this application, gaining support, it may be in the good idea for the company to provide any information that would strengthen any future CCN application. But I don't think that we should be ordering them to do specific stuff. So I believe that covers everything on the thing, but I'd love to hear from the rest of the commissioners on their thoughts. And then, Judge, you don't think we covered everything, you holler, okay? So Commissioner Coleman, love to hear where your thoughts are.
All righty. I was just jotting down some thoughts and need to write one more
Sure,
word down.
we're in no rush. I knew I threw a lot at you. I'm sure the judge is over there going, what?
Yeah, I'm taking notes for you, Judge.
Thank you.
But anyway, I support everything that you said. I think that you've outlined some really good processes that need to be done, where it started, where it should go. Overall, I would just say that I believe that the company's info that was presented was a bit sketchy to me. We didn't have everything that we needed. And I can also not imagine supporting any application that puts all the burden on the customer. But I like the idea of the proposals to track data, to report data that can be gleaned over that gives us better input for future, decisions that we have to make. So I'm in agreement with your, proposal.
All right, Commissioner Holzman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When I look at investments like this, I don't tend to keep them in a silo. I take macro considerations in, and I'm not opposed to short-term difficulties for long-term successes. And I do think a project like this presents that opportunity. However, I also feel like staff did a really clear job of pointing out that when the PTCs run out, there's going to be a cliff that's going to fundamentally change the economics of this asset. So as we, tried to come up with a way to mitigate that cliff, it became increasingly difficult given the confines and the parameters which the commission has to operate for us to try and do that. And I think that what you have presented here is probably our best foot forward to address that cliff that we think staff did a good job describing. And I support the project. I also want to see it be fair and equitable to the ratepayers. So with your conditions, I'm in support of moving forward.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Kolkmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, while the Persimmon Creek will add 20 megawatts of accredited capacity for Evergy West and add more renewables to their fleet, I don't believe it adds to the SPP fleet as of generation. I too was swayed much more by the staff and OPC than I was the company on this CCN. Persimmon Creek is already operating in SPP, and so Evergy acquiring this doesn't really add any renewables to the grid at all. It's already there. It just puts this under Evergy. Historically, Persimmon Creek has generated most of its power at times when Evergy West load is low, meaning that Evergy customers won't be using the power Persimmon Creek even produces. It's not likely to generate much energy after the expiration of the tax credits or the cliff, which possibly would be running negative pricing there coming out of Persimmon Creek going into SPP. Because Persimmon Creek primarily generates at times low negative prices, it looks like a bad hedge against exposure. So I'm having trouble with this particular CCN. Taking all this into fact, I think the potential risk outweighs the potential benefits, and could and it would add unnecessary cost to Evergy ratepayers. So with that, I'm having a real hard time with approving this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for offering the amendments and the cost sharing of the risk at 50% and the other stipulations that you put in there. I thoroughly support those. It's getting me much closer to supporting this, but I'm still not there. So I'm not in support of approving this CCN. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Great. No, I appreciate it. And I think everybody had really good points. And I think this has been an issue that several of us really struggled with of trying to get there. And I understand all the concerns that you have outlined. So Judge, does that give you what you guys need?
I think so.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Right. Well, Well, that's great. Well, thank you, Judge, for pinch hitting for Judge DePel. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good. So, all right, Commissioners, yeah, thank you for the time and effort I know and thought you guys put into that one. So that is all we had left on case discussion. So we'll just head into scheduling. And today, we have an on-the-record presentation in WR 2022-0303. This is Missouri American Water's request for authority to implement general rate increase for their water and sewer providers, and Judge Pridgeon. I'll see you again this afternoon, 1 o'clock, room 310. Then on Monday, April 3rd, as Judge Clark already mentioned, heading through Friday, April 14th, is the evidentiary hearing in ER 2022-0337, Amherst tariffs to adjust its revenues for electric service starting at 8:30 a.m. Room 310, Commission's headquarters, Jefferson City, Missouri, April 3rd, Monday. Then on Wednesday, April 5th, we have agenda at 10:15. And on Wednesday, April 12th, we have agenda at 10:15. And on Thursday, April 20th, we have agenda at 10:15. Then on Wednesday, April 26th, we have agenda at 10:15. And on Wednesday, May 3rd, we have agenda at 10:15 a.m. And that rounds out the scheduling. So, Commissioners, anything else for the good of the order, anything that we need to cover? Judge?
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, Judge DePel's listening on the phone. She texted and wondered if the commission actually voted out item number 4. I believe, Mr. Chairman, you went around and found everybody supported the finding of necessity, but I'm not sure that the commission actually voted on it.
Well, we will, with an abundance of caution, we will go back. So everyone on the phone, we're going to go back to file number 4, which was in AX-2023-0175. This was the new rule regarding residential customer disconnection data reporting rule. So I apparently failed to call for a vote on that, so we'll just do that again. So all those in favor of supporting that order, which was version number 1, please say aye.
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 All right, 4-0. That has been done. So anything else for the good of the order, or? All right, well, hearing none, thank you, Commissioners, for your time and attention today, and that will adjourn the Public Service Commission meeting for March 29th.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.